Modern Mahjong's here with Tuesday's Daily Talk of the Tile for April 22nd, 2025. If you're joining us on Instagram, the entire video will be on our YouTube channel, Modern Mahjong. For today's tile topic, we're going to go over rule number 7 on the back of the card. We've already done posts about this for Facebook and Instagram, but we wanted to address it in this daily tile topic. The rule provides a player may change the number and type of tiles displayed in an exposure up until the player has discarded. So before we break down the rule, let's just review commitment to claiming a discard. It's best practices when somebody discards a tile that you want to say call or something similar to that, then take the discard and put it on the flat top part of your rack. Once you do that, you are committed to making that discard and you cannot return it to the table. Another way to claim a discard, which we don't consider a best practice, is when you hear a discard, to place tiles from the sloping part of your rack to the top of your rack and then pick up the discard. We've discussed in other videos how that's not the best practice because if the tile was misnamed, you might result in a dead hand by putting tiles up too soon. But we digress. So once a player either practices best practice and puts the discard on the rack, on top of their rack, or they expose tiles from the sloping part of their rack, they are committed. They cannot return that discard to the table. So they are, 2 was discarded. They picked up the 2, put it on top of the rack. That 2 is part of their hand now. They can't change it. 2 is discarded. They say call. They take 2 from the sloping part of their rack to the top of their rack. They cannot change their mind. Rule 7 only addresses changing tiles that you brought up from the sloping part to the top, and it's changing tiles in number and type. So both Mahjong Made Easy along with bulletins provide that the player can make those changes, but only until they either discard or do a joker exchange. Either of those actions locks in that exposure and it can no longer be changed the rest of the game. So a reminder that the back of the card, the front of the card, the entire card is small. There's limited space for things. So not everything is really fleshed out. It's a summary. So we're going to break down number and type of tile. An example of a number of tiles would be if you put up 3 2 and a joker, and then you looked at your card before discarding and you realized, oh, I only need the 3 2 I don't need that joker. You could bring it back to the sloping part of your rack. You could even bring back one of the 2 to the sloping part of your rack if you put up 4 2 and a joker. That is exchanging the number of tiles. You must still make that exposure because you're committed. With regard to type of tiles, let's say for some reason you're looking at the 2 that you claimed, you put that up, and then as you're putting up your 2 you include a 2 bam. You could bring that 2 bam back down as well. You are still committed to that discard. However, once you either initiate a joker exchange or you discard, you can no longer change your exposure. So you had 4 up and you realize you only needed a pung, but you already did a joker exchange, too late. You had 3 up and you did a joker exchange and you wanted to add that joker to your exposure, nope, too late. Joker exchanges either go into your rack or help you call Mahjong. That's it. You don't get to add them to prior exposures or even the current exposure that you just completed. So a key takeaway that is not included so far in any of the discussion on the back of the card, in a frequently asked question on the page on the National Mahjong League, which they've taken down for other questions, they also included if a player makes an exposure and then after completing that exposure puts another exposure up but doesn't have Mahjong, they have a dead hand. So their hand can be declared dead. So it's really all about timing. You can take back a tile if you put up too many tiles, but if you finish that exposure and then put up a whole other exposure and you don't have Mahjong, that's Mahjong in error and your hand can be declared dead. Now for our tile tip. Stacking tiles for the second left. Is it a rule? So it's really just courtesy, tradition. It's not in the official rules. It is done on the second left, and it's a reminder to everybody that we already finished right over left or right across left, and now we're doing left over right or left across right. So it is a good visual reminder that you're starting the second series of passes. It is not done for the rest of the second Charleston. It is only done for the first left. So usually we focus on a specific hand, but today we're focusing on an entire section, singles and pairs. So by definition, there are no pungs and kongs in this entire section. So just because tiles might be grouped together, it doesn't make single individual tiles or pairs of tiles into a pung or kong. So if you have 122, that doesn't make that a pung. Or if you have 2025, that doesn't make that a kong. These are groups of single tiles. As a reminder, no hand in this section can have jokers. All the hands are concealed, and you can only pick or call the current discard for your winning tile. And of course, you cannot call a joker ever if it's correctly named, and especially you can't use any jokers in this entire section. With all of this said, don't fear the singles and pairs. Every hand in this section correlates to a hand in another section. So if you don't pick the tiles you need and you start getting jokers, it makes for an easy pivot. Or a smooth pivot, maybe not easy. When playing for money, a bonus is only given for self-picked, so everyone pays double if it's a self-picked win. A bonus is not given in this section if you have a jokerless hand, because if you look at the values, they're higher than the other hands. It is already incorporated that you cannot use jokers in this section. So if you have any ideas for our daily talk of the tiles, let us know. You could comment below or send us an email at modernmahjong@gmail.com. We are wrapping up registration for our 2025 card class on Sunday, April 27th. We hope to see you soon. Our 2 Zoom classes are taking place on April 28th and April 30th. We have one in the evening and one in the morning. Make sure you check your time zone. We are in Eastern Standard Time Zone. You could register for these events on modernmahjong.com. We invite you to check out the Canasta convention that we are holding October 11th and 12th in New York City. Details on bit.ly/CanastaCon25, and both C's are capital. We would love to know what you are learning from our daily talks and tips. Is there certain things you'd like us to cover? We hope that you're appreciating the tips, and if you aren't following us yet and this just happened to show up in your feed, follow us. What are you missing out on? Tag your friends so they don't miss out too. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Modern Mahjong. Our Facebook group is 65,000 and growing of Mahjong players, and you could find us on Mahjong Community. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day and a great game.